Hello and welcome to my video. I will be focusing on this workbook, Reading and Writing Thai, specifically into two different sections. The first section being the Thai writing system and pronunciation, and the second section being the lessons. So the lessons is where I'm going to face trial and error with writing as well as reading the language. So enjoy the video and I will be reporting back on my progress throughout it. All right, so getting started with the workbook, I started by reading the contents of the book, the introduction about the history of the language and how it came into place, the basic rules of grammar, a pronunciation guide, and basic rules using vowels and tones in the Thai language. All right, so moving on to the second part, I read over all of the consonants in the alphabet and I begun practicing myself, tracing and repeating characters multiple times just to try to get the best understanding I could of each character, and I found this method successful. Here I was just tracing and copying multiple of the consonants onto my paper here, and I did this for all 44. I felt that it was worth noting that it comes in three different sections here: the way it's written in Thai, the way it's pronounced in English, and of course the stencils in which I used to copy. I found that it was really helpful that it came with numbers on the exact direction you need to go to when writing these consonants. I found that it was really effective and it made it easier to trace.
สวัสดีค่ะ My name is Kanita. I am Asia's mother and am her mentor for this session of learning Thai language.
So that was the introduction to my main mentor, who is my mom. And here in this clip, she is telling me about the consonants, vowels, ending consonants, tone marks, and consonant clusters, and fully just telling me what I need to look for and work on when following this workbook in specific. And I ran into my first issue here. I only completed lesson 1 through 5 for part 2 rather than fully up to lesson 8, because I found that rushing towards lesson 6, 7, and 8 were too advanced for this first learning log, as this one is catered towards the introduction to the Thai language, and I felt that those were a little bit too advanced for my liking for my learning process. All right, moving forward, the first exercise that I did besides tracing consonants, a part of lesson 1, by the way, is circling in green the high consonants, circling in orange the mid consonants. This is based on pitch and tone, by the way, and just leaving blank the low consonants, because actually in Thai, the low consonants are the majority of the consonants. There are 11 high consonants, there are 9 mid consonants, and there are 24 low consonants in the alphabet. Next up on the agenda, I learned some vowels, some single vowels, as well as diphthong vowels. I found the diphthong ones pretty confusing, but with my mother's help, I was able to understand it better. Here is a very short clip of me just continuing the tracing method and practicing tracing all of these vowels in the book. Another thing that I found confusing was these joint consonants, which are clusters. All right, so here is a clip of me doing so and tracing the vowel clusters. This was definitely difficult for me because it is my first time that I had ever written this many consonants in a row. This was super difficult and challenging because of how many of consonants that were demanded. After external research online, I was able to better understand how vowels can transform together to become a new form, which is what you see here, and my mother confirmed that it is readable for her. However, it should be written more clear. And next up are ending consonants in lesson 3. So basically, their main priority is to stop the ending and give a live ending. This part came super naturally for me. I understood it all, as M in English is and that is the Thai consonant, and then when it's put into a Thai word such as duam, which means to drink, that is just placed at the end because it's the end of the word. I absolutely loved this exercise because all it was looking at the last consonant and seeing which is the ending sound in English alphabet. Lesson 4 is all about tone marks. Here is a time lapse of me just tracing the stencils of each of the tones. I am going to do the exercise, which is asking of me to repeat the vowels and repeat them with different types of tones. So there are 5 tones in the Thai language: mid, low, falling, high, and rising. And each tone changes the meaning of the vowel completely. So this is very important, as you would imagine. I'm going to do that vowel. Here is the vowel of choice for the demonstration. With a mid-tone, it would be ga, ga. Pretty straightforward. A low tone would be ga, ga. Okay, and then a falling tone would be ga, ga. A high tone would be ga, ga. And lastly, a rising tone would be ga, ga. All right, so the last part of this workbook that I am using in my learning log are Lesson 5 consonant clusters. All right, so Lesson 5 are consonant clusters, which is very similar to the previous vowel clusters. However, these are more complex. All right, so Lesson 5 was definitely focused on tracing and just learning how to use these consonants in the proper way once they are clustered together. And basically, all I did in this lesson was continue my tracing habits, followed by even more tracing when connecting the consonants together. And I've figured out that the most difficult thing for me so far has been clustered vowels and consonants. And this is something that I know I will need to bring to my next learning log and get additional help from my mom and my grandma. Thank you for tuning in on my first report video about my process through learning reading and writing in Thai.